Hi folks, Rob Poyton here from the Innsmouth Book Club. Last time, as you may remember, we were in Plymouth and I spoke a little bit about Dartmoor. Obviously Plymouth is on the edge of Dartmoor, and how there were a huge amount of legends, folklore, ghost stories from Dartmoor itself. We haven't been able to go up on Dartmoor on this trip, but on the way back we've found this place and I couldn't resist stopping here because there are so many great stories attached to this place, one of which I think you're going to be very familiar with. We're in the village of Buckfastleigh, which is most well known for Buckfastleigh Abbey, of course, which you can see just down the hill here. But the site we're at is Holy Trinity Church. The church behind me was built in the 13th century, though archaeologists have found Anglo-Saxon burials here, which leads to speculation that perhaps the original building here was a precursor to Buckfastleigh Abbey. Now, the legends here start very early on, even with the building of the church, because it is said that the devil tried to intervene and prevent the church from being built, but he was thwarted by the fact that the church was built on this quite inaccessible site and it could only be reached by coming up 196 steps. The devil, obviously being lazy, left the building alone. We then move forward to the 17th century and the story of Squire Richard Cabell or Cable. He was a local squire in this area and he had a reputation as a monstrously evil man. There were rumours that he'd murdered his wife. There were also rumours that he'd sold his soul to the devil. He was a keen huntsman, quite a cruel and vindictive person. On the 5th of July 1677 he was buried here in the church, and it is said that night a pack of hounds came and surrounded the grave and howled all night. Further to that, the ghost of Sir Richard was seen hunting across the moors with a pack of spectral hounds. The locals were naturally quite upset by this, and in order to keep Sir Richard where he should be, they placed a large slab on the top of his tomb, and they also surrounded it with this building known as the sepulchre. This, it was hoped, would keep the ghost of Sir Richard firmly in place. That seems to have done the trick, though there are still reports of a red glow being seen inside the sepulchre, and there are also numerous reports of shadowy forms seen in the churchyard here, and also voices heard at night. As if all this wasn't enough, there's a system of caves under this whole area, it is said, and right under Sir Richard's tomb there's a cave known as Reed's Cave, and it's said there's a very weird rock formation there that resembles Sir Richard himself. Now, I don't know how you get access to these caves, and to be honest, even if I did know, I'm probably not very likely to be going down there. So you might think that's it, but no, there's even more associated with this church. In the 19th century, the graveyard was targeted by body snatchers. Perhaps because of the isolated position of the church, there's one little lane that now leads up to it, so it became a prime target for the resurrectionists. In 1849, the spire was struck by lightning. There was damage to the spire, obviously, that was restored, but in 1884 the church was even more badly damaged in an arson attack. Again, it was refurbished. In World War II, the stained glass windows of the church were blown out when a German bomb landed and exploded nearby. And on the 21st of July 1992 there was another arson attack. This time the church was completely gutted and has been ruined and abandoned ever since. Now, both of those arson attacks, even separated as they were by over a century, were blamed on Satanists, and local legend has it that this area has been a place of black magic ritual for hundreds of years. So we've got black magic ritual, we've got spectral hounds, we've got a church being struck by lightning, we've got a vengeful ghost, and mysterious caves underneath. Quite a heady brew, I think you'll agree. But now we'll move on to that story I said that I'm sure you'll be familiar with. In 1900, Arthur Conan Doyle was sailing back from South Africa, and a shipmate that he got chatting to was a journalist called Fletcher Robinson, who actually grew up in this area. Fletcher Robinson told Conan Doyle this story, this local legend about the squire, and it's a slightly different version. In Robinson's version, the squire thought his wife was being unfaithful, so he had an argument with her and he began to savagely beat her. She fled the manor house, and ran up onto the moors. He gave chase and caught her, and in a fit of temper stabbed her to death. Whereupon her faithful hound leapt on Sir Richard, grabbed him by the throat, and the two went over the edge and fell to their deaths. Following that, it was said that the ghost of the hound was seen regularly padding across the moors, howling piteously, and also that it was seen by every successive generation of the Cabell family. So that was the story told to Arthur Conan Doyle in 1900. In 1901 he visited the area, and together with his friend Fletcher Robinson took tours of the moors in a carriage to soak up the atmosphere and to get ideas for stories. And obviously we can guess which story that became. Oh, and also, by the way, you might be interested to know the name of the coach driver who was driving them around. Well, that was a Mr. Baskerville. Well, that concludes our short trip to Plymouth. Hopefully we'll get down here again next year and cover some more of the stories. It really is a treasure trove, this area of ancient legends, ghost stories, tales of haunting and the paranormal. So I highly recommend a visit down here if you can. Once again, please remember to check out our podcast, the Innsmouth Book Club, where every fortnight we visit Innsmouth and talk about some of our favourite weird fiction, as well as chat to special guests. So, until next time.